Long before microwaves and ready-made meals, cooking was slower, softer, and full of heart. From wooden butter churns to hand crank mixers, these tools didn't just make food, they made memories. Every scrape and stir carried the warmth of home, where recipes were shared, stories were told, and love simmered on the stove. Today, we're revisiting 10 timeless treasures from Grandma's kitchen, reminders of when things were built to last and made with care. So grab a cup of coffee and settle in. We begin with one of the most beloved tools of all, Grandma's wooden butter churn. Grandma's wooden butter churn, turning cream into gold. Before electric mixers and factory-made butter, there was Grandma, standing by her wooden churn, sleeves rolled high, turning cream into sunshine. Each slow push of the dasher echoed through the kitchen, a steady rhythm of patience and purpose. The air smelled of fresh milk and effort, the kind that built families, not fortunes. Children would peek around the corner, waiting for that magical moment when the cream finally thickened and the golden butter rose to the top. It wasn't just food, it was a reward earned by time and tradition. And when the churning stopped, the room felt a little warmer, like it knew something beautiful had just been made. But when Grandma needed to separate the good from the rest, she turned to a small but clever helper. 2. The icebox. Before shiny electric refrigerators filled our kitchens, families had the humble icebox. It looked like a wooden cabinet, but inside, it was lined with tin to keep things cool. Every few days, the iceman would come clinking up the driveway, hauling a massive block of ice on his shoulder. Kids would rush to the door, wide-eyed, watching him slide it into place like some everyday hero. The icebox wasn't just a kitchen appliance, it was part of the rhythm of life. Moms planned meals around when the next ice delivery came, and dads made sure the drip pan didn't overflow. But as electric refrigerators became common, the icebox quietly faded away. Still, the word icebox lingers, an echo from a simpler, colder time. Would you like me to add a short, nostalgic closing hook line, like your other sections, to lead into the next part? And when it came time to mash those potatoes beside the roast, another humble tool brought comfort with every gentle squeeze. 3. The hand-crank meat grinder, power in the palm of your hand. Bolted to the edge of the counter, the meat grinder was both tool and tradition. You'd feed in scraps of beef or pork, crank the handle, and out came the makings of Sunday sausage or hearty stew. The rhythm of that crank was music, slow, steady, and strong. It turned leftovers into something new, making sure nothing went to waste. In a time before prepackaged everything, this little machine stood for self-reliance and thrift. You didn't just cook with it, you built meals, memories, and pride. And when it came to mashed potatoes, another tool turned dinner into comfort with every squeeze. For the potato ricer, fluffier than a cloud. No blenders, no mixers, just the satisfying squeeze of a ricer, pushing hot potatoes through tiny holes until they landed light and perfect. It was how Grandma made mashed potatoes you could float on. The handle would creak, steam would rise, and that simple motion made every meal feel like a Sunday feast. Some things don't need technology, they just need care. The ricer wasn't about speed, it was about texture, love, and the art of doing things right. And once dinner was served, one little box kept every loaf fresh, soft, and safe. 5. The bread box, where freshness lived. Every American kitchen had one, wooden, tin, or enamel, sitting proudly on the counter. Open it, and the smell of fresh bread, biscuits, or rolls drifted out like a memory. The bread box wasn't just storage. It was preservation before plastic, invention before innovation. It whispered, "Home." Because inside that simple box lived mornings, lunches, and comfort, all protected from time and air. It stood for an era when even simplicity had soul. But when it came to keeping milk fresh and mornings bright, another invention worked quietly by the wall. 6. The milk bottle opener. Pop, pour, and smile. Before twist caps, milk came in glass bottles with tight metal lids. And every home had one small, vital tool, the milk bottle opener. With a flick of the wrist, you'd hear that familiar pop, followed by the soft splash of cold milk into your cereal bowl. It was the sound of morning, the start of another good day in America. Even the opener itself was simple, often hanging on a nail near the back door, used and loved 1,000 times. It wasn't just a tool, it was part of the daily rhythm of home. But in the afternoon, when dessert called, one shape defined celebration, the Jell-O mold. 7. The hand crank egg beater. It looked like a little science project. Shiny gears, spinning arms, and a handle that brought ingredients to life. Before electric mixers, this was how Grandma whipped eggs, frothed cream, or stirred up cake batter for Sunday treats. It saved time, though your arms still felt the burn after a few batches. And that sound, the gentle whir, was pure kitchen music. When electric mixers arrived, the crank faded away, but that whirring still echoes in memory, a soft reminder of simpler, homemade moments. Some still keep one tucked in a drawer, not to use, but to remember. Because sometimes, the simplest tools held the most heart. But not every recipe was delicate. Some called for muscle and a little bit of crank power. The cherry pitter, a click of summer. Tiny, precise, and oddly satisfying, the cherry pitter turned sticky mess into clean perfection. Drop in a cherry, press the lever, click. The pit pops out, leaving the fruit ready for pie. It was the sound of summer kitchens, windows open, kids laughing, and Grandma humming while the pies baked. Every click meant less waste, less fuss, and more flavor. It was invention meeting tradition, one cherry at a time. And when that pie came out golden and bubbling, every click felt worth it. And from sweet cherries to golden corn, another clever tool helped preserve the taste of harvest all year long. 9. The corn stripper, harvest in every kernel. It looked simple, a ring of metal teeth or a wooden trough, but to those who grew up on farms, it was genius. You'd slide an ear of corn through, twist or pull, and watch golden kernels rain down like treasure. No fancy motors, no waste, just pure, practical American ingenuity. That sound, the scrape of cob against metal, meant summer harvest, family dinners, and canning jars lined on the counter. Every kernel told a story of hard work and gratitude. The corn stripper didn't just save time, it preserved seasons, sunshine, and self-reliance. And as dawn broke the next morning, one final ritual brought the kitchen to life, the sound and scent of fresh ground coffee. The hand-crank coffee grinder, mornings made by hand. The day didn't start with a button, it started with a crank. Turn it slowly, feel the resistance, hear the grind, and breathe in the scent that filled the kitchen. It was a ritual, one that made you pause before the day began. Each bean crushed by hand felt like a small victory over the rush of time. The sound, the smell, the satisfaction, that was coffee the old-fashioned way. Because sometimes, slowing down was the best way to wake up. And as the aroma drifted through the house, you couldn't help but feel grateful for mornings, for memory, and for the tools that made both possible. These old kitchen gadgets weren't just tools, they were the heartbeat of home. Every creak, crank, and clang told the story of a nation built on hard work, love, and family. In those warm kitchens, surrounded by the smell of bread and coffee, we didn't just make food. We made America. If this brought back memories, don't forget to subscribe to Remembering America and share your favorite kitchen memory in the comments below. Because together, we're keeping the past alive, one story at a time.